Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of the TheAnfieldTalk Podcast. So, last week we talked just a little bit about the pre-season roundup, all the fixtures that we'd had over the course of July and August, and then we previewed the game against Helsinki and the game against Swindon, where Benteke scored that absolute cracker. So, we've just a couple of things on the agenda today before we move to the main general topic of what we're going to talk about, which is the Premier League preview. We all know that proper football starts again tomorrow, and we're all excited. So I'm here today with two completely different guests to last week, just to throw you all off. So we have Danny at DWLFC94 on Twitter.
Hello.
How's it going?
I'm not bad.
And we have Johnny as well at JohnnyLFC_.
Hello, lads.
So,
Hello.
Johnny, you're the first actual Anfield Talk member other than myself to be on the podcast, so that's pretty cool.
Yep.
That's good. So basically, lads, we're just going to get straight through this because we have a lot to talk about and a lot of clubs to run through and a lot of fixtures to speculate and a lot of results and tables. So basically, the first thing that we need to talk about is James Milner has been named as the Liverpool vice-captain. So what do we think?
Go on, you can take that, Danny.
Okay. I'm a little surprised at it, but I'm not actually completely surprised. I thought Martin Skirt would have took it, because Martin's like enough one of the first players on the team sheet. But behind the scenes, obviously Brendan saw something in James that puts him ahead of Martin. And to be fair, when we've seen him on the pitch and off the pitch, he's been top class. So credit to him. I'll give him it. Let's hope he pulls through for us.
Well, Roger said he works tirelessly, describing James Milner. James is someone that I admired for a long time. He gives everything. He's a big character, because we just had to throw that word in somewhere.
We character, the chain, that character,
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. The best way of interpreting Rogers, or of trying to do a Brendan Rodgers accent, is whenever he gets on to Sterling on that Being Liverpool episode.
Yeah.
You talk to me like that again and you'll be on the first plane home. Do you understand me? That sort of Brendan.
If you show great character, you get in my squad. If you don't, then you're out.
I think that, though, it actually kind of like epitomized actually what Sterling was, somebody that kind of, somebody that kind of just was not so much out for, well, you could say he was out for himself, but at the same time, he had no kind of regard for any of the training that was going on or anything, and to actually show that to kind of disrespect the manager in the first place is just, it's beyond terrible.
You don't do
Exactly.
it. You don't do it at any age.
Unless you want to be sitting on the bench.
That's it. So basically, what Milner said about becoming the vice captain and joining Liverpool earlier in the summer, he said this was a selfish move for me. Obviously, playing at City and playing in different positions, the team will always come first, and that's the way I believe it should be, no matter where you are. But I think the move to come to Liverpool and take that mantle on myself was more of a selfish move, and hopefully I can do well and contribute to success at Liverpool. I'd like to think you'll see the best of me now that I'm in a central role.
Yeah, well, to be quite honest, if you actually just look at Milner at Manchester City, you're always kind of seeing a player that, as you said there, Danny, he puts 110% into it. I seen actually a tweet there today saying that Milner actually comes into training 2.5 hours before training each day, just to really show just how much he wants to fight for his place there. And to be quite honest, when I seen this when we actually did sign him, I instantly thought it was a great signing because, one, he'll work hard, but two, he is a talented player too. He will add to the team massively.
But he's a big experienced head. He's played in the league for God knows how many years now, whether it's Villa or City or ourselves. He's got a lot of experience in the Premier League, so I think he's probably the right choice for vice captain that way. The only disappointment maybe from Liverpool fans, possibly, and you could maybe tell me about this better, Danny, living there yourself, but what I would think is that people like Sacco and Skirtle, who have been at the club for maybe a season or more, have been overlooked.
Like I said, I thought Skirtle would have got it because he has had that responsibility of being captain. Sacco's in and out. I mean, 1 minute he could be partnering Skirtle, next minute Torre, next minute Lovren, and that's, I think, the instability around those three players. Where Skirtle's, like I say, one of the main names on the team sheet, but I can't really give any more. I mean, Milner, it's the central role is going to be pivotal for him, and we're going to see a lot of it with Henderson.
Yeah.
He's going to either give Henderson that anchor to go forward, or he's going to give Henderson that advice to, make him a better player, because James Milner, attacking wise, is just as good as James Milner running back.
Yeah,
and that is going to be a massive cue for us.
That'll be vital for us, really. It'll be very, very good to have there. There's not a whole lot more we can say about James Milner, really. It's kind of like Sterling last week. You can just talk about a topic too much, and I think this is probably one of those. So that's it out of the way. Milner's the vice captain. We can bitch about it from now until the end of the season. It's not going to change.
And good luck to him.
And good luck
exactly.
To him, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I've always admired him as an opposition player. I've always thought he was quite good. Quite good, understatement, but he's always been a solid midfielder. I was quite stoked when we signed him, especially when it was for free.
But can I point out as well, he did have, apparently, on John Bradley, one of the Liverpool commentators, he said he had numerous offers from around Europe, including Atletico Madrid. Now, you look at Atletico Madrid, Champions League, off every season.
That's it, yeah.
They're playing top-class
to win the
football.
league.
However, he'd come to Liverpool because he said the history pulled him.
Yeah.
He wanted to play more than over money, and he did turn down Arsenal. And
something that probably draws a lot of players to Liverpool is that whenever a big player comes in, a big name player, they will be idolised in front of the cop.
That's for sure.
Like Torres was, like Suarez was, like Gerrard obviously was. So for Milner to play in a midfield that he knows isn't one of the most consistent midfields with everyone keeping a position in the country, he can probably more or less walk into that side, keep a defensive role along with Henderson, or go up front when he's needed in cup games, or because we have a lot of games coming this season between Europa League, Premier League, FA Cup, League Cup, whatever we'll have. But I mean, Europe will always put a strain on us, because even if we go out at the end, still 6 games in Europe that we wouldn't have had we not qualified.
But if you look at actually Milner in terms of the player you want at your club, and he is literally epitomising the exact player you want at your club.
That's it. Especially Liverpool. I mean, he is a player that plays the Liverpool way. He doesn't pitch, he doesn't moan, he doesn't. If he's tackled, he'll just get straight back up and he'll hit you with another one, which is kind of like Gerrard. It always reminds me of Stevie whenever he was tackled against United in that game that he eventually got sent off.
Yeah.
One thing I've always admired about Milner is he talks on the pitch. You don't see many players talk.
That's it. Not anymore, anyway.
He's yelling. He says, "Start again," and again. Just something. Communicate. It takes a bit of the pressure off the player who has the ball, but it also just gives you that bit of communication on the pitch.
He's a leader.
That's how chances are created.
Yeah, he's a leader. That is for sure.
And that's probably what Brendan has seen in him to lead him to the vice captain role.
Yeah, and you need more leaders on the pitch. That is something every team. Barcelona, every team.
I don't feel we had enough of that last season, honestly. I mean, Gerrard was out for a large chunk of the season, and I just don't think we had that leadership that we needed. But anyway, we could go on about it all year. That's it, basically, out of the way. I was talking a bit there about the Europa League. Obviously, we've qualified for the Europa League again. The draw for the group stages of the Europa League is the 28th of August. So you can put that date in your calendars, guys. Liverpool have dropped to 55th in the UEFA rankings. Now, we were talking about before the podcast began, before we went on air about this, and I mean, it's not something, take it with a pinch of salt. It's not an idea as to how our club's going to fare this season, considering that Everton are 67th, which isn't far away. Tottenham are 24th. United are 20th. City are 16th. And City are awful in Europe. Arsenal are 7th and Chelsea are 4th. Real Madrid are top, if anyone wanted to know. Barcelona 2nd. So, I mean, as I say, take it with a pinch of salt. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Just thought the more important thing that I'd want to draw from it isn't how low down we are, but just how that affects us, because it means we could get teams like Borussia Dortmund, as early as the group stages. So it's just something to.
Yeah, but certainly, I actually think, well, personally, the Europa League, in terms of getting fourth this season, I'd really just be looking at actually the top four. But Europa League as a backup, okay, it is handy, but I would actually like for us to come up against teams like Dortmund and the likes, for the fact that, it tests us.
It would be a good test, yeah.
Yeah, you can face so many poor teams in Europe, so I would love to see a Dortmund or something like that.
Yeah, I agree with John. You want those big teams coming up against you first, because it's all very well going and playing a Stade Bucharest, and then coming up against Dortmund later. But if you take on Dortmund early, it shows you. How can I say? It shows you drive. You really want to push in this competition. If you can go and smack Dortmund 3-0, rest of Europe's looking at you, and you're going to turn a lot of heads, and teams are going to fear you, and that's what I want with Liverpool. I don't want Liverpool going to places and teams thinking they can have a go, which they will.
Yeah.
Everyone, that's going to happen whether you like it or not. But I want teams to be fearful of us, and if we go and do that at Dortmund early on, then we can turn a lot of heads, and a lot of performances will be exceptional. So bring it on.
Definitely. So, it was only just a small news item. I thought I'd mention it just because this is Anfield and a couple of other sites were reporting it. Another thing, we were talking last week a wee bit about Balotelli. He has turned down a move to Al Ahly, which is a side based in Dubai. There's not much you can say. He turned down a move. We'd like him out the door, but that's just a fan's perspective. Another one we'd like out the door, just because he's dead weight at this point, is Barini. He wants out anyway. He's not going to get playing much, as I say. The striker situation we've already got is Ings, not Balotelli, Benteke, Sturridge if he keeps fit, but that seems more like a miracle at this point. But anyway, Barini, 4.9 million has been agreed as a fee between Liverpool and Fiorentina. A couple of sites are reporting that. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. One final thing. Go ahead, sir.
I think it's certainly positive though. Like Barini, to be quite honest, he is Italian, so going back to his league, I think to be fair to Barini, he's always kind of wanted to play at Liverpool, even though he's never quite been good enough. But I'm happy for him. I am happy for him. He seems like a top bloke, so fair play to him and good luck to him.
It is a shame, but like you say, if there's going to be regular chance of playing football at Fiorentina, then by all means, go and take it.
Exactly.
Well, I've always wanted it to work out for him at Liverpool. I remember he scored on his debut against someone. I don't remember.
Yes, FC Gomel. FC Gomel was
Gomel.
FC Gomel.
Scored against
FC.
I think it was Gomel.
Did the knife in mouth celebration thing. I always wanted it to work for him. It just didn't work. Anyway,
exactly.
One final news item before we move on to the main general point of the podcast. Chris McLaughlin, who you may know, wrote the Cop magazine, which was a bit of a cult favourite with cop-outs. He wrote it for about 15 years. It ended there. He decided to end the magazine and they cut their losses with it. He has been signed by the club to write for the official LFC magazine and the official LFC matchday programme.
Credit to him. Fantastic.
Credit to him is right. He's obviously a passionate Liverpool fan. He enjoys writing about the club, as we do ourselves. So, fair enough. Fair play. I don't know if you'll ever get listening to this, Chris, but fair play. Good luck with your new job. And I hope, I'll be at a match at some stage to read one of your match day programme articles. If not, Danny will read them and tell us how you're getting on.
Yeah, I'll do little letters to you and how they're getting on. They'll be top notch anyway, so I'm not too worried.
Yeah, of course. So basically, lads. Anyway, the Premier League begins tomorrow. There's no point in hiding it. We all know it's coming tomorrow. The first game.
Football's coming home. Sorry.
Oh God,
it's just the right moment.
Yeah. We might sing that at the end. First game of the season then is it United?
It's United
yes.
Spurs.
United and Spurs. United and Spurs. So that's the score. And then after that, shortly after that, West Ham are playing Arsenal.
That's gonna be a tasty game.
That will be a very tasty game. My dad sports West Ham, so therefore I indirectly support West Ham any time that they're not at Anfield or against us at Upton Park. So I have a bit of a soft spot for West Ham, probably coming from my dad supporting them. I honestly think West Ham will be one of the teams to watch this year, along with Stoke.
I'm on and off with West Ham because new manager. They have brought some very good players in, i.e. Dimitri Payet, who I think has catched many people's eyes. Whether you watched him at Marseille, you watched him.
Yeah.
He's a phenomenal player on his day. But I think if they can get Alex Song, another massive boost.
Yeah.
But
I think they were very close to getting Alex Song at one stage. I'm not sure where they're at now, but
apparently they're still in talks. That's the last time I've heard.
Yeah.
But you don't want that dragon.
But to be fair, like if you look at West Ham, rather, their manager Slaven Bilic, like he is experienced. Well, it is a totally different thing. But like Milner, they are two experienced players.
Yeah.
Well, they're both experienced in their job. So like
that's it.
I think certainly it's an upgrade on Allardyce. Like West Ham can certainly maybe get into the top 8 this season, which would be absolutely phenomenal for them.
Just made a mess of that. Sorry, Arsenal and West Ham's on Sunday, so that's my bad.
That's a preview. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
It's at 1:30, so I just assumed it was 1:30 Saturday because there's already a 1:30 game on Sunday, Newcastle and Southampton. Anyway,
tough opening fixture, Arsenal,
it is. It's very tough.
Say a lot about them.
I think it'll be not as tough. That's the wrong phrase, but it'll be tough for Arsenal like it is for West Ham. I don't think West Ham are going to suffer any fools this season. I respect Bilic as a manager. He managed Croatia. Did he take them to the 2006 World Cup in Germany?
He did, yeah. He did.
He did.
Yeah.
I was very impressed with Croatia at the World Cup that year. Did they get quarterfinals or something like that? Maybe round of.
They did very well because a lot of teams took notice of them.
They did do very well. With a fairly experienced side, to be fair, but Bilic is tactic. I know my.
I think it would be actually. Yeah, well, it'll be interesting though. If you actually look at international managers, they actually make that transformation to Premier League managers or any other league. Mm-hmm. There is such a difference between international matches and Premier League matches. So it'd be interesting to see whether he can actually make that transformation.
I know Roy Hodgson hasn't really cracked it. He's one manager that's come from one to the other and hasn't really cracked it.
Yeah.
Internationally. He took Fulham to the Europa League final. We remember that year. We were beaten by Atletico in the semis. Everyone thought they actually had a chance of winning the Europa League. It was fun. Fun day out for Fulham fans. Anyway, so United and Spurs is 1:45 tomorrow. That's on BT Sport, which annoys the hell out of me. I don't know if anyone else hates BT Sport as much as I do, but
I'm not gonna lie, I love it.
You love it?
I'm a big fan of BT Sport. I love it.
Michael Owen's commentary drives me.
Oh, it's just.
I wasn't talking about commentary. I was talking about general programming.
Oh no! I just meant general production as well. I'm just not a fan. I've been brought up. I was born in 1998. I'm only 17, but I've been brought up on Sky's coverage of the Premier League, so I'm used to that. And everyone has, to be fair. They've only had 1 season or 2 seasons BT Sport, but I'm just used to the Sky's coverage. It's just so much more slick. It's so much more. Stevie will be on BT Sport this year, so
Yeah, they got the Champions League, so
maybe that'll change my mind. I don't even know if my parents are going to subscribe to BT Sport Europe. To be honest, I'm probably going to have to find some streams, to watch the games. But we're not going to be in the Champions League anyway, so it doesn't matter, because we're the optimists.
Well, if you actually look though at Sky Sports, I think they really, really lost a lot when they sacked Andy Gray.
Yeah.
Andy Gray was massive. The best commentator, anyway,
Definitely.
I've ever listened to by an absolute
I would agree. Although, who is it? I can never remember if it's Martin Tyler or who it is. I think Martin Tyler is fantastic. No,
Martin Tyler, yeah. He is great. He is great.
He's brilliant. He's just not Andy Gray, and Richard Keys doing the presenting at the start is, you know.
Yeah.
I do miss that from time to time, but I'm kind of used to your guy that they've got now. What do you call him? Ed Chamberlain, is it? Does Monday Night Football.
Ed Chamberlain, yeah.
I think he's pretty good. And I mean, if they've got Cara and Neville at the moment, and that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Gary Neville. Just while I'm on the topic, sorry, Gary Neville, the father of Gary and Phil, has died today. So.
To be honest, all rivalries aside, it's never good.
It's
never good.
It's never ever good.
Rest in peace, Neville.
Yes.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
Thoughts go out to the family as well.
Oh yeah, definitely family and friends of Neville 2.0.
You'll never walk alone.
Yes. Oh no, Danny.
I'm sorry.
Danny.
No, not like that. Not like that.
Danny.
You know what I mean.
You'll
Don't
never
worry.
walk alone.
Yeah, we get it. We do get it.
You'll never walk. God Almighty. Okay.
Making me sound bad there. You know what I mean?
Better to move on. So United and Spurs anyway at Old Trafford. Bournemouth, Aston Villa, Everton, Watford, Leicester, Sunderland, Norwich, Crystal Palace, and Chelsea, Swansea. That's the games tomorrow. I don't know if you guys will be up watching soccer AM. I will be, because it's just a necessity.
I'm not really a big fan of it.
Honestly.
I used to watch it, and then obviously the presenter took a bit of mick out of Liverpool, and I didn't like it, so
yeah,
never really followed it.
That's one thing you can't say about BT Sport is BT Sport worship Liverpool.
Yeah.
How much airplay and adverts on TV did they get out of that Liverpool game against Arsenal? Was it 4-0? 5-1, something like that. I don't even remember.
Yeah, it 4-0 after 20 minutes, yeah. But,
4-0 after 20 minutes, and then we conceded the rubbish penalty at the end. But anyway, that's the crack. So, basically, starting with Arsenal anyway, because that leads in nicely. Arsenal, as we say, kick off against West Ham on Sunday, 1:30 kick-off. It's on Sky Sports for anyone that wants to watch it. What do we think of Arsenal's chances then in the league this season?
As of,
I'll let you
take some.
No, it's okay. Thanks, Johnny. I think if they did get, well, there is still a month left. You know, Wenger is famous for making his kind of late signings, but if you look at their defense, I still think they need another centre half. You know, they praise players like Mertesacker, Coquelin. You know, they're nice players. They are decent players, but are they good enough to win you the league? Undoubtedly. No, they're not. Czech is a great signing. He is a great signing.
I think Mertesacker will be a member of our fraudcast in May.
Yes, I totally agree. And
honestly,
will Giroud be there as well? That's you know, Giroud. He's so hard to
personally, I
coach.
like Giroud, but if everyone else wants him there, that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, personally speaking, I quite like Giroud. But going back to Mertesacker just quickly, he was a guy that came in with such a big reputation of playing in Germany.
Yeah.
And he came in, where was it? Werder Bremen, was it?
Yes, it was. Was he captain? I think he was captain there too.
I think he was, yeah.
Yeah,
he came in from Werder Bremen, such a reputation, all world-class centre-half. He's going to help Arsenal win the league. And, I mean, to be fair, they don't have a leaky defence. They're not that sort of a side, but they struggled a bit more with scoring goals the past season than they usually do. For me, anyway.
That's what will ultimately cost him any chance of a title challenge for me.
That's it.
Oh, I agree totally.
I mean, they won the FA Cup the past 2 years in a row. But I mean, this has to be the time really for Wenger to mount a serious assault on the title, isn't it?
Yeah. But if you actually look at Arsenal every year, you know, they might win the FA Cup like they have the last 2 seasons, and you know they come in the top 4 and they kind of say, "Oh, that's a great season." But you know, people actually look at Brendan Rodgers and, you know, whatever chance they get, they put him down. Yes, he was the one who brought us, you know, in his second season, you know, to what should have been a title, you know, and Wenger hasn't done that for a long time, you know. So it has to be said. It really does have to be said. You know, Arsenal fans' faith in Wenger, you know, surely it has to go at some stage. They have way too much loyalty to him, in my opinion, anyway.
I don't want to. I mean, I'm not any sort of an advocate for Manchester United on this Liverpool podcast, but it has to be said that Arsenal worship the hell out of the Invincibles side, 2003
That's for
4.
sure.
And they 2003-4, and then they won the league that year without losing a match. But they didn't win anything else that season. And United's team in '99 that won the treble clearly. You know, I'm not. That's it. We can just leave it there. But it's just worth saying that they do.
Exactly.
I feel like they make a bit more of it than can be made. I mean, fair enough. You went through the whole season without losing a game, unprecedented, great stuff.
Yeah.
But here we are, 10, 11, 12 years later.
Yeah.
And Wenger's still here, and he hasn't won a league since.
But you're totally right in the sense that Arsenal seem to just kind of, take everything way, way over the top. You know, it's like I mentioned there with Coquelin and players that actually do well in the team. You know, they're doing well. They're far from world class. Like a lot of Arsenal fans will make them out. You know, and and you don't hear United fans talking about that year, but you always hear Arsenal go back to the Invincibles. You know, I honestly cringe when I think of, obviously what we did in 05 in Istanbul. I cringe. If Arsenal had done something like that, we would never hear the end of it till the day we die. You know, so
never.
But I honestly cringe at
Liverpool
that.
fans get stick for going on about winning it 5 times. But anyway, that's all I needed to say. I just wanted to say that. So basically, we're talking about a couple of players there, who are a bit of frauds. They're not fantastic players, and Arsenal kind of make more of them. One player I do need to talk about, I think, is Alexis Sanchez. And I have a couple of stats just about Alexis Sanchez. A couple of them are stats you'll know, and maybe they'll interest you a bit. He's 26 years of age. He's played 35 games for Arsenal and scored 16 goals, 8 assists. Arsenal have won 57% of the games that Sanchez has played.
Yeah.
And then the stat that I really wanted to say about Sanchez is he was involved in 37 goals in all competitions last season, which is 14 more than any other player.
Yeah,
So
he made the season last season.
Yeah,
100%. Like he was at the heart of everything, and literally without Sanchez, and without Sanchez, there Arsenal were a different team. You know, they got obviously checked. They got checked this season, but you take Sanchez out of that team, and who scores the goals? It's a question that has to be raised.
You do look at Cazorla and Ozil, but Ozil can go missing in a lot of games.
Yeah, I don't think Ozil will be in the. He'll be in. If he's still at Arsenal by the end of the season, he'll be in the Frogcast as well, because he's just, I just don't understand the big obsession with Ozil with Arsenal fans.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, you know,
I feel like they try and make him like their Coutinho, except we have a lot more to back Coutinho up.
Yeah, I think if you look
goals
at
against City,
Ozil, like at Real Madrid, he was top class. He was world class, and then he kind of came to Arsenal, and whatever decent thing he does, and hence the word decent, they make it into something that is absolutely unprecedented, and nobody else in the world can do. It's again that kind of take everything way over the top with Arsenal fans. But Ozil, I think, still has that kind of world class in him. But it has to be said, he hasn't shown us at Arsenal. It has to be said.
No, he hasn't.
You could get into Di Maria on that. Di Maria, fantastic at Madrid, goes to United. He's on the floor with cramp, and you're talking 65 minutes into the game.
Yeah.
And it's just not worked out for him, and he's been shipped out to the Parisians.
Yeah.
So
it's bad sportsmanship.
Arsenal's first fixture, then we said, is against West Ham. Obviously, they play us still in August on the 24th at the Emirates. So that's worth saying, and that's on Sky Sports. And then their last couple of fixtures, then, they have a decent run in around Christmas. Sunderland, Villa, City, Southampton, and Bournemouth. 3 home and 2 away, and then May. They have City in the second last game of the season. That could be a potential 6-pointer.
A lot of big games in the season. All you got to hope is you get the right points before those games.
Yeah,
that's it.
And hope you can beat them in the process. Yeah. But Arsenal,
Villa, a good start is definitely vital. That is for sure. Vital, absolutely vital. You've seen us obviously last season, and we're coming into December. I think we were 12th. And we actually had a massive kind of resurrection Obviously, beating the likes of City and Southampton away, on the way after Christmas. But we left ourselves way too much to do. So one thing that all the best teams in the league, especially us, need this season is a great start.
Yeah. I think I was reading the Daily Mirror's take on each of the Premier League sides, and they said that if Arsenal have a decent start, then they can challenge for the title. But isn't that always the way with Arsenal? They always start brilliantly. They come out of the starting blocks quicker than arguably anyone else. But the problem with Arsenal is that they always run out of steam around April.
Yeah, well, we can point back to that when it was. I don't want to say our year, but it was when we were unbeatable because they were at the top for the longest in the season.
Longest out of anyone else that year.
And they were scrapping for third and fourth.
I mean,
so it doesn't matter how well you start. You've got a consistency.
It does for a team like us in fourth or fifth, but not if you're going for the league.
Yeah.
The start is important for any side, obviously, but it's not as important as consistency, which is something Arsenal don't have at the end of the day.
Something you can't do is lose. You just can't. You know, say Stoke on Sunday, the worst case scenario that we can do is draw. That is the worst case scenario. We cannot lose. It is not an option, literally.
Well, we'll talk a bit more about us and Stoke when we get to us. But anyway, Arsenal, I mean, do we have a prediction for the game against West Ham at the Emirates?
Is it at the Emirates? Yeah.
It's at the Emirates. Yeah.
I'm going to go for 2-0 Arsenal. I can't see West Ham getting out the box that quick.
That's the scoreline that came to my head as well, was 2-0 Arsenal. I mean, as I say earlier, my dad's a West Ham fan, so I'd like to think that they'll get some sort of result out of the game.
Yeah.
Lich's first game in charge, obviously, first proper game in charge. I mean, West Ham were knocked out of the Europa League in midweek. I don't know if anyone saw that.
I did, yeah.
They were knocked out by FC. We're a bunch of mechanics who only play football in our spare time.
Yeah.
Can I just say credit to you for actually getting that name right? I'd have taught ages with that name.
You know what? I practiced it in front of the mirror for a couple of hours. 4-3, they lost on aggregate. They drew 2-2 at home, which you just can't do in Europe.
Yeah, not a good start though for Village, has to be said.
It is and it isn't, because it gave them a couple of games experience going into the league.
That's true, yeah. I suppose he needed those games.
And it's competitive experience. It's not like Helsinki in a random fixture experience or playing against Adelaide FC or Adelaide United or whatever they're called. Sort of experience. You know, it's proper competitive. This is a competitive game we could get knocked out experience. So that could stand them in good stead when it comes to Arsenal. I don't know. I'll still go for 2-0. Danny's gone for 2-0. Johnny, what would you say?
I definitely go along those lines. I think Arsenal will be kind of in a good mood. First game of the season.
Yeah. That's what I think as well. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm fairly confident with the 2 or not more, but at least it's a certain 2-0.
I'm not sure it would be any more, but we'll see. So the next team obviously then is Aston Villa. So there's been a lot of talk with Aston Villa, I feel, amongst the cop-out community on Twitter and things, because Benteke obviously is a big part of it. They knocked us out of the FA Cup, dumped us out at Wembley. All that sort of thing. Tim Sherwood, obviously, what do we think about Sherwood at Villa? I mean, he's had 35 games at Villa. He's won 18 of them, but he's lost 13 of them. So, you know, it's roughly a 50% win percentage. I think it's 51.5 win percentage. What do we think? I mean, he's drawn 4 of those games, and Villa start against Bournemouth on the 8th of August, and that's at 3 o'clock, I think it is. Yeah, it's at 3. So, I mean, we'll just have to see what happens, I guess, with that. Villa, there's been a lot of things surrounding Villa's signings. I mean, Benteke's gone, obviously, but then They do have Jack Grealish, who got a lot of publicity towards the end of the season.
A great player, however, his style off the pitch is not preferably helping him.
No. Where was it he was found passed out? Was it?
It was like, I think it was like, was it Ibiza, something like that?
I think it was
Just
Ibiza,
passed out on the floor.
Passed out
It's
outside someone's house. I laughed. Someone tweeted it, whoever it was that found it, and it ended up with about 400 million retweets before I saw it. But it was just a picture of him lying face down on the ground. Didn't think it was actually him, and then it was confirmed later to be him.
To be honest, though, it's something not. It's not something you expect, but it's getting seen a lot. I mean, you look at Raheem Sterling. He was pictured. Is it a she? Something like that. He's smoking something. Is it laughing gas or? Yes.
Some sort of substance that you can imagine is.
Then you got Jack Grealish on the floor, and it's not something. I mean, a lot of people would give their hands to be footballers and just have that life of playing. But like I say, I don't think your lifestyle off the pitch is going to help you on the pitch.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. What do we think then of Sherwood at Villa?
I know a lot of people that don't like him, but I give credit to him where it was due. He did re-energise that team, and I think the main word there is energised.
Yeah.
Because that was a very slumped Villa.
Definitely.
Beforehand, and obviously he's come in, he's put his ideas into the team. He brought Jack Grealish straight into the team.
I mean, he's got them playing attacking football, which for those mid-club, bottom table, mid-table sides, it's important to be playing attacking football and counter-attacking football because you've got to have some sort of. I mean, Villa there, when they had Benteke and Andy Vyman and Agbonlahor as their front three, I mean, they were unstoppable for some games. And they tore us apart at Anfield.
Yeah.
Was it 3-1?
Yeah, and now they're both gone. Vyman has left the club this summer, as has Benteke. So that old Villa is kind of being dragged out of the club. So maybe Sherwood is trying to kind of bring in the new Villa now. Playing young players like Grealish and Westwood. So is it going to work? Is another question. Because at the end of the season, last season, it has to be said, he did do well. He did do a good job, but at the same time, he was only something like 2 or 3 points away from relegation. This season he'll have to manage Villa for the whole season, so that's going to be a change.
But I think when he gets them for an entire season, that he will do better with them. I don't think they'll be, fantastically high placed up, but
yeah,
I think a big impact is going to be the miss Delph. They're going to miss Delph's energy in midfield, his leadership. Because there's not too many players in that team, that have his leadership on the pitch. Agbonlahor can command it.
Yeah.
You don't really look at them because Westwood's not a bad player. I'm a big fan of his, but
he's a nice player.
He's
not
young too. He's not shouting on the pitch like Delph, and he's not bombing forward like Delph.
Yeah.
So I think they're really going to miss him in midfield, and I think you'll see that a lot.
Yeah. Just before we move forward to Bournemouth, sorry, Johnny. Just before we move forward to Bournemouth, what did we think of Delph? Because it was just disgusting. I think really the way he handled it.
I was happy for him when he said he was staying because it was credit to him that he was being loyal to that club, which he said was his club.
That's what I thought.
But then when I looked at it, was it 8 days later or something like that? And
it wasn't even.
It was even less. Even that.
Yeah, I think it was 5 or 6 actually.
5 or 6 is what I would have said. Yeah.
And there he was getting pictured going into a Manchester hospital. So
unbelievable.
Yeah. It is loyalty is a dying trade in this game now. So
I'm sorry that I'm gonna have to leave. It's actually 6 o'clock, but it was good to be on anyway. So I'll see you later.
Not a problem.
See you later, Johnny.
All right,
Johnny. See you, David. See you, Johnny. Thanks, lads. Good luck.
Right. So, Danny.
Yes.
Bournemouth, first game of the season against Villa. It's away. It's at the Vitality Stadium in Bournemouth. What do we think?
What, tomorrow?
Prediction. It's tomorrow, yes, at 3 o'clock.
I think it's... I'm expecting a close game. Bournemouth will come out all guns firing.
I'm going to go 1-0 Bournemouth.
I'm going to go 2-1 Bournemouth.
Right.
I think Bournemouth will edge it.
Yeah. I think 1-0. I can't see Villa scoring. I mean, it's a lot to ask for Villa to try and regroup goal scorers when Benteke has left them and he was their biggest firepower. I mean, they've got Igbonahor and they've still got Weimann, but I just don't.
They have
recruited
Rudiger Stead, and
true.
He is, if they can get him some service.
If they can get him some service,
fantastic player.
I mean, if they can get him some service, that's what I was going to say. But I don't know that they'll just have. I don't know that the side will be perfectly clicked. By then, so we'll just have to wait and see. Anyway, Bournemouth, their opponents that day, we'll move straight on to them. Newly promoted side, obviously the first one that we'll have talked about. Eddie Howe is the manager. Tyrone Mings obviously is the player from Bournemouth that's getting a lot of publicity. He's 22 years of age, club record fee 8 million.
He's a fantastic player. I've watched him a lot last year because for some reason I just decided to. I do watch the Championship, but I'm not overly. I don't have to watch every week. I don't really tend to watch it that much. But last year I watched it a lot, and I did watch Mick McCarthy's side a lot. Yeah. And when I did, all the talk about the fans and it was Tyrone Mings, and if he can replicate what he did for Ipswich at Bournemouth, then it's a fantastic signing because he's a big lad. However, he's got the pace of like a Bonahor.
Yeah.
If he drives, it's gonna open a lot for them, and it'll be fantastic.
I didn't watch a lot of the Championship last season, but in the last couple of months when I heard Bournemouth were on the run, and I kind of paid attention to them, and they do have a strong team ethic, and I mean, I think neutrals will love the way they play. I think they'll have a lot of heart going forward, and they'll bomb everything forward. Eddie Howe has said that he's intent that they're not going to become the whipping boys of the Premier League this season, so they're going to play with a lot of heart. They're going to keep going and keep going and keep going.
Definitely. I mean,
go ahead, sir.
So I think everyone wants Bournemouth to do well or at least stay up. Because we love the football and we love the manager. The manager, you don't have Eddie Howe coming out and slating other managers or trying to get in the Reds. They keep themselves to themselves, and they deserve the chance up here. I mean, Burnley was a few years ago and Blackpool. So by all means, give them the go, and we'll get most neutrals will want Bournemouth to do well.
Let's hope they're not like Derby. Derby were awful.
Well,
don't remember the 8-0 game at Anfield.
I remember that a lot. I was there.
But Bournemouth in 10 days' time, the 17th, they're at Anfield. It's on Sky Sports. It's a Monday Night Football. It kicks off at 8.
What a game for them to come up.
We've said 1-0 to Bournemouth against Villa. You said 2-1 to Bournemouth. What do we think about that game against Liverpool?
What a game for them to come up. I mean, to get that game out of the system early will be positive for them. However, Liverpool have to be on the guard.
One thing that we do have to think about is if they do get the opening day win, which we're both backing them to do against Villa, you've got to think that'll be a huge boost that they'll take with them to Anfield. Yeah,
by all means.
And that's something that happened with Blackpool. Blackpool got off the mark with a couple of early wins and came to Anfield and shocked us.
Blackpool kicked our ass when they come up because I remember being there and I wouldn't say we expected to fly them.
Yeah.
As in like just walk over them, but we just gave them too much room and it was just a disaster. Charlie Adam just had a field day in midfield.
Yeah.
He really did. And that's why I say we should be careful with Bournemouth because we have faced Bournemouth a few times last season and now we're going to see them again this season. So,
I mean, they're obviously a strength inside with Mings this year. And
they got Mings, they got Max Gradle from Saint Etienne.
That's a fantastic signing. What a signing that is.
They got Lee Tomlin, he's come in.
Yeah.
Sylvain Distin at centre-back.
That's a brilliant signing also.
Not the fastest, but his experience is going to be very, very
solid. I remember he created waves for Pompey and then...
And they've also got a fantastic goalkeeper they made permanent, Artur Boruc.
Yes.
He's one of my favourites.
I loved him when he was at Celtic.
He's been around him. He's at Fiorentina and that, but he's got the experience, and that's just going to help Bournemouth stay up of anything. I'm hoping they do.
Bournemouth play Chelsea, United, and Arsenal all in the month of December, and their last game is against United at Old Trafford. So that's just worth noting for any Bournemouth fans out there, or for anyone that's going to be watching a few of their games.
Big games, but
all big games.
The earlier they get them out the way, the better it is for them going on confidence and points.
Mm-hmm.
So, good luck to Bournemouth. I hope they do stay up.
Well, I mean, the good thing from that perspective maybe is that they have a couple of months to solidify a side before they get some of these bigger fixtures. Obviously, bar Liverpool, which they face in the second game.
Yeah.
So the next club then is Chelsea. Without saying a whole lot about Chelsea, because they're not just the best club to be talking about on a Liverpool podcast. Eden Hazard, what a player, what a guy. I don't think he's always cracked up to be, but that's just my opinion. I mean, we could talk all day about Mourinho's tactics and how we hate them and how they're rent boys and how they're just not a fantastic club. But I mean, you know, we want to get home tonight at some stage.
Thing with him is whether you like Mourinho or not, his knowledge of the game is one of the best. I mean, I've never come across a manager who can just put a team out and they'll work their ass off for him.
I mean, he threw his Charity Shield medal into the second medal into the crowd.
Yeah, he's a fantastic manager, whether you like him or not. You can't get away from that fact.
Well, I don't.
Well,
personally,
that's like I said, it's your opinion. I look at him in different ways, though.
Yeah. One of the things I just don't like about Mourinho was his interviews. I think he chats absolute crap.
But that's his style, and I think that's what I wouldn't say makes him a great manager, but it's his fact he doesn't give his guard off. He's putting more face on.
He tells you loads, and he tells you absolutely nothing at the same time.
It'll be interesting to see how he puts his side up this year, because I know they've got Falcao obviously on loans. That's going to be a bit of firepower for Costa.
Yeah.
But it's not been too much of a shake-up for Chelsea, and I think it could backfire for them, because there's no new faces, and it really could backfire for them. So they've got to question how they're going to set up, because teams are going to know a lot more about them this year than they did last year.
That's it. Chelsea then open their season against Swansea in the first Saturday night football of the season. Can't see anything other than at least a 2-0 Chelsea win here. I'm probably going to go for 3-0.
I'm going to go. It will be a big game. I'm going to go 1-1.
1-1.
I'm going to go for the cheeky 1-1. I think Swansea under Guy Monk are a fantastic team, but we'll get to that a bit more later.
I think Chelsea will just overrun them, to be honest. A 3-0 for me, but that's the beauty of having a podcast and having two different people. We will have different views. We'll have different things to say. I'm not spending any more time on Chelsea.
No, we'll move swiftly ahead.
Move swiftly ahead to one of my picks for a team to watch this season is Crystal Palace. What a signing Yohan Cabaye is.
That I saw a lot of it in rumours. Obviously, then I started thinking, could it not? But credit to Palace, they went all out for it, and they've got what could arguably be one of the bargains of the summer.
Cabaye and Bolasie.
Cabaye, Bolasie, Zaha. I mean, that team is starting to ooze quality. And
they're away to Norwich at the first game of the season.
No, well, I'll give them a prediction in that in a bit, but you got to look at that Crystal Palace team, because we get slaughtered by Palace a lot of time.
We do.
So
we don't need to mention
I'm not going to mention any specific results that may involve me crying at the end of this podcast.
Yeah.
But they are actually our bogey team at the minute. So as soon as we beat them, I'll be running down the street, hands in the air.
Yeah. I mean, Cabaye, he's had 49 goals and 35 assists in his Premier League games, or in Premier League and League One, combined. I mean, he's kind of like Milner. He's got a big experienced head, and he'll just be fantastic as an anchor to bring down for the Crystal Palace midfield, but he also allow them to play a bit more.
Well, as you said, the main thing there is the anchor, because that man can put a free kick in, he can cross,
That's it.
He'll smash a ball. I wouldn't say 60 yards because that's only for one Xabi Alonso.
Yeah.
Who we miss and love here at the Anfield Talk, but just
A little
saying.
bit. Just a little bit.
But he's going to add a lot to that team as any quality player would do to a team. But like I say, what a signing. That's one of the bargains for my side anyway.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the reasons I'm going to be following Crystal Palace quite a lot this year. I watch Match of the Day every year, every week of the season, except when we lose. I'm kidding, I do.
Yeah.
Like when we lose to United or Chelsea or someone like that, I can't stand to watch it. I'll turn it off. But anyway, that's the crack. Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think they are a fantastic side. Crystal Palace.
They're
brilliant.
fantastic, and energy, speed, and on the counter attack, they're one of the best in the league. Right up there. But I think one of the main things for me is with Palace, if they can keep hold of Balassi till the end of the transfer window.
Yeah, that's it.
If they can keep hold of him, they're going to have a fantastic season. As will Bournemouth. That's one of the two teams that will do fantastic.
You see, I'm backing Bournemouth to go down. I'm backing Bournemouth to be 20th, but that's just me.
I don't think so, personally. I think Bournemouth will have a good season.
We'll see anyway.
Like I say, we'll see. We'll see come May. We'll see come May.
We'll talk about the predictions for the top 5 and bottom 3 at the end of the podcast. But anyway, that's the crack. Norwich Crystal Palace, 3:00 tomorrow, Carrow Road. What do you think?
Oh dear. I'm going to go 3-0 Palace.
Yeah, I was going to go 2-0 Palace. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. It's going to be an interesting one.
It'll be a good game. Norwich will come out fighting, but I just think Palace's speed will kill them off too much, in my opinion.
You see, Norwich are another side I think are at risk to go down.
They are. I don't mind Norwich. I'm a big fan of them, but it's when
I'm a big fan of
them
anytime Suarez is on our team sheet.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's usually Luis Suarez versus Norwich City, but
That's right.
Fingers crossed we can maybe get Louis back on loan for 2 games this season, or
maybe
preferably the whole season. But
that would be nicer, yeah.
But no, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
So the next one is one of your favorite clubs in the entire universe.
Let's have it.
Everton.
Oh yay! That's all I'm gonna say. Just oh yay.
You know what? I'm not even gonna talk in this one. You're the Scouser. Talk to me. Tell me all about Everton.
Well, I've got a lot of blue mates and that, so I'm gonna watch what I say because I'm just gonna get bombarded with texts and that. So.
Okay, I have the censor at the ready.
I've got. See, that's the only thing I say. I'm speechless. I don't know what's going to happen with them. They haven't really recruited as well as I thought. I thought they'd have put Aaron Lennon. I thought they'd have made that deal permanent.
Yeah.
That's what's going to kill a lot of teams this season. It's the fact they've not bought as many players, i.e. Chelsea, Everton. Everton, I'm sure is it Tom Cleverley? We've got Tom Cleverley in midfield now. Could be good. Could be another guy, Darren Gibson. But we'll see. I mean,
I don't think Tom Cleverley is going to make a massive difference to Everton's play. To be honest, I think Gareth Barry, if anyone.
Well, if anyone knows how to get the best out of Tom Cleverley, it is Roberto Martinez. I mean,
probably, yeah.
Excuse me. When he went to, was it Wigan? He went on loan to Wigan for the season. Martinez got him playing like he was a centre attacking mid when he was only a centre mid. So.
I mean, they have a leaky defence, though. One of the stats I was going to say is Everton have made more errors leading to goals last season than any other top flight team. They made 15 errors that led to goals. So it's not just a leaky defence; it's a faulty defence, which is a worry for any sort of a club.
Massive, because I think every team had a look at Everton's defence last year, and they only looked at the left back and right back being the main concern because. Phil Jagielka and Destan, you could just put any ball past them and you could still beat them.
Yeah.
And credit to they got rid of Destan on a free that he's gone now, but they've got Jagielka. I'm not sure if Alcaraz is still there. I know someone's left lately.
Mm-hmm.
But this is why I question. I reckon they should have took the money for John Stones and just put that team purely, put the money purely in the team and let them go on from there because they do need another centre back, or at least give John Stones most of the game time this year.
I think that Stones transfer, had it gone through, would have been everything that's sad about English football currently.
Well, I think Everton were just trying to do Manchester City and Liverpool. I mean, Liverpool held out for 49 mil for Sterling when we wanted 50 million. So I don't know why that 1 million was too much. But
I'm honestly not sure what happened there.
but
Like I can't imagine them sitting in a room and saying, "Right, you want 50, we'll give you 49," and Ian Ayre going, "Okay."
well,
But anyway, go on ahead.
yeah, I'm not sure about Everton. I think they're going to struggle a lot.
Definitely.
I mean, depending on Ross Barkley, if he can get firing again, and Lukaku.
Barkley looked very promising for a while, but
he did.
I mean,
but he just fell down.
I think. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of speechless like yourself. Everton are a club that I just can't describe at the moment because they seem to have a couple of good workings of a good side, and they did play some decent football last year. They pinged the ball about quite well at times, especially at home.
They can, and that's the philosophy of Martinez. And when he gets it going, Everton are a hard team to beat.
They can be a difficult team to beat when they shut up shop and park the bus a bit. But I mean,
injuries can kick in for them, and that's a bad thing for them. Injuries.
They have probably one of the weaker sides in the division this year. So if injuries do kick in, like you say, to the Ross Barkleys and the Gareth Barrys and the John Stones, I suppose, and the Tom Cleverleys, it's going to be difficult for them. It's going to be difficult for them anyway. So I think if injury hits, it'll be even worse. So they kick off their season at Goodison against Watford tomorrow at 3. Watford, another newly promoted side. What do we think there?
I'm gonna go just a simple 0-0. I think that's going to be I won't say a boring game, but I think there's no real quality in either side there to ping the scoreline open.
I think so too. That's what I was going to say is 0-0, because it's just probably the most uninteresting game in the fixtures next to Leicester and Sunderland.
I've got a lot to say about Watford, but I'll save it when we get there. But I'm going to go 0-0 for that one. So
the next side then obviously is Leicester. They start against Sunderland, as I say, at the King Power Stadium tomorrow at 3. Schlupp is a great player.
That is the name I probably love, but I can't stand to hear all the time.
I mean, Schlupp. One thing about Leicester that I'm going to talk about, and I'm not going to say much else about them. Jamie Vardy is another player I want to just give a shout out. He provided more assists from open play last season than any other top flight striker. 8. Claudio Ranieri is the name that we have to consider with Leicester City, and that's it. I for one am very glad to see Claudio Ranieri back in the Premier League.
I don't know. I've always been a bit skeptical of Ranieri. I mean, he's a fantastic coach. I've watched him a lot since he's left the Prem. Obviously, he's had a lot of stints everywhere.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see what he can add to this Leicester side. But if you can get this team playing like they did towards the end of the last season, then it's going to be all smiles for them.
Yeah. I'm going to go 1-1 for this. It's another game where there's not a whole lot of quality either way.
I'm going to agree with them. I can't see anything more than a 1-1 draw.
Mm-hmm. I could see Leicester coming out the blocks or Sunderland coming out the blocks and getting an early goal and then being pegged back. But that's, that I can't see any other real story being told in that match, because
if someone wants to break the deadlock and take 3 points, I'd vote more Sunderland than Leicester. But
I would agree. Yeah,
that's the beauty of football. We can all be wrong.
That's it. We could all be wrong, or we could all be right. No, probably not. So anyway, Leicester. We all know who's after Leicester, but we're going to skip them just to annoy your head. The next club then is Man City. So what do we think about Man City?
Well, possibly at the centre of Liverpool's biggest transfer story all summer.
Oh yeah, definitely the biggest transfer story all summer.
I don't really want to talk about it too much because it's the past now.
Yeah, we've covered it. It's been over. It's fine. We don't care.
But like I say, now you've got Guardiola. That story is not leaving Man City alone. However,
but I don't understand when that's the case. Why has Pellegrini signed a new contract?
that's the thing.
That's what I don't
You don't know what's
understand.
going to happen.
But City were rubbish last year.
They were very poor. Very poor. They couldn't really keep up
And
week in,
to
week
be
out.
honest, I think they're even more poor this season than they potentially were last because they haven't really made too many signings altogether.
They haven't, but I think the main thing that may put towards them is they have got Raheem, and I think that's going to be either a big turning point for them, or it's going to retract them a bit. Because Sterling, obviously, as we know, he can be a good player, and on his day, he possibly is one of the best young prospects in Europe.
Yeah,
and whether he's behind Aguero or he's playing on the left or the right, he's going to have an impact, and that is going to be crucial for City.
Chances are they could play a 4-3-3 or some sort of formation with three up front and Silva, Aguero in the middle, and Sterling on the right. That's what I'd imagine they might do, or else switch wings with Silva and Sterling so that they can cut inside. But I mean, they start against West Brom. They are away.
The only thing I'd question with City is they've let too many of the strikers go. They've let Negredo go to Valencia. That was a permanent deal. They've let Jovetic go to Inter Milan, and Dzeko's in the process of finalising his deal to Roma.
Yeah.
Now, out of four fantastic strikers you had there, who any of them could give you firepower.
You see, Aguero.
Three of them are gone.
It's kind of a similar story to Everton, where Aguero could get injured very simply because he's been injured before.
Yeah.
And you're left with Sterling and Silva there as your attack. And
I suppose if it is the case with Aguero, then you can have a look at possibly putting Sterling up front and then putting Silva and Nasri behind him, giving that little bit of firepower.
A lot of pressure for a 49 minute 20 years of age.
Yeah, a lot of pressure though.
And
so I couldn't see that happening.
Because Aguero has injury problems, and it's probably inevitable that he'll have them again. So that's why it's one of the reasons why I just don't think City will. They'll struggle this season. They will, because I mean, as a side, I think they were a side that was quite aging a season or two ago, and now they're kind of in a transition phase where they're getting rid of some of the old, but not bringing so much new in.
Well, I think Delph's going to add a lot, and we were talking before about
Delph
leaving Villa, and it's going to be horrible for them. But if you give Delph game time at City, it can transform the midfield. Because Yaya's all right, yeah, he's fantastic going forward and back. Fernandinho kind of just sits sometimes in front of the back four, and it can kill a game. But if Delph can do both, and I think that's what could give a bit more energy to City's midfield and help them going forward. But like I say, it's ifs and buts, but it's got to be done on the pitch for it to have any significant impact.
I know what you mean. So basically, the next club then is United. Oh, sorry, the result. Sorry, the result on the opening day. West Brom versus City at the Hawthorns. So what do we think?
3-0 City.
3-0 City.
I'm going for that.
Yeah, I was going to go 4, to be honest. I'll go 4 just for the sake of being different. I do think they'll have firepower. I mean, if that prediction probably contradicts half of what I've said, but I think they'll struggle as a whole over the entire season, not in games like this against your West Broms and your Cardiffs and your Crystal Palaces and your, I mean, I do think they have quality. I'm not saying they don't. But it's just going to be more difficult for them.
Yeah.
Potentially.
I have to agree with you.
United, what do you think? I'm not talking about United for this podcast. I'm just not.
What prediction for tomorrow?
Yeah, that's all we need to say.
Right, I'm gonna put the bullet out here. 10-0 Spurs. Yes.
10-0 Spurs.
Let's be optimistic. Let's cross our fingers and toes. Whether you listen to this now or a week later, let's cross your fingers. Come on.
I'm gonna go 2-1 United.
Realistically, I'll go 1-1, but I'm not going to lie, I'd want 10-0 to Spurs.
Oh, we'd all want 10-0. 96-0, let's be honest. As many goals as possible. They've brought in Schweinsteiger, they've brought in Depay, they've let go of Di Maria. De Gea has been dropped for tomorrow's game, says Louis van Gaal, which means Victor Valdez will go in goals. Is that it?
It was Valdez or Romero. Because I know
Valdez or Romero. I could see Romero, to be honest.
Yeah, because I know Valdez has had a falling out with Van Gaal.
Yeah, it doesn't seem hard to do that at this stage. He's dropped De Gea. That's completely Barmy decision to me.
He claims it's because of his part. He's not in the right frame of mind, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's stuff with Madrid happening. To be honest, but
it has to be.
We'll see. We'll see within the next week.
Just one thing quickly I want to touch on is United don't have a solid striker, so they're going to struggle to score goals this season, in my opinion.
Well, they're going to push Rooney up. That's what's been said. They do want to push him up.
They'll push Rooney up, but Rooney doesn't have the quality of a striker that he used to have. No. For me, anyway.
I think Depay's going to add a lot. I think Depay's going to take a lot of Depay. Yeah. I'm not sure how you say it, but he's going to add a lot to them. So whether he's like it or not, he's going to be a big player this season. I think Depay.
Yeah. Well, I listen to a radio station here in Ireland. It's in Dublin. It's FM104, and one of the guys runs a fantasy league for that radio station, and his fantasy team name is Who Had All Depay's. So that's how I'll pronounce it, as Depay, just because of that name. To make that name work.
That's brilliant. I love that.
Who Had All Depay's? Mine is Slumdog Millionaire, if you want to try and find me on the Barclays Premier League one.
Slumdog Millionaire. That is amazing. I'll give you that.
Slumdog Millionaire. So anyway, moving on then. Newcastle, Southampton. Not exactly a fixture that's going to set the weekend alight. However, Southampton.
However, it is a team. It is two teams who have boosted the sides a lot this summer.
Sorry, United brought Schneiderlin in from Southampton. That's another signing I think will add so much to their team. It's unbelievable. Just wanted to put that in there now that I'm thinking about Southampton.
Right. They both
back to Newcastle. Sorry.
Both sides, Southampton and Newcastle, they've added a lot this summer.
Yeah.
Obviously, Newcastle getting Steve McLaren. They've signed Wijnaldum, Mitrovic. A lot of talk about Charlie Austin. So they have been recruiting goals more than anything, because that is one thing they really did struggle on last year, and it was goals. Similar to ourselves. But like I say, that is a game that
Newcastle are the same. Newcastle have lost to Sunderland in the derby a couple of times last season. I mean, McLaren's in there now, obviously. He's not got the most fantastic Premier League win percentage. He's lost more games than he's won or drawn. But, I mean, they've brought in some good signings. They have Genie Wijnaldum. I don't know how you pronounce that.
I just call him Wijnaldum. I'll just say
Wijnaldum. There you go. He was the Dutch Player of the Year, obviously, at PSV last year. So he'll possibly provide a spark in the midfield for them, score a couple of goals. I don't know. I'd like to see Newcastle do well this season. They're one of those sides that I don't ever want to see relegated, really. I was really sad the last time they went down.
So I know a lot of Scousers that wanted them to go down last year, and it was quite funny just seeing the reaction when they stayed up. So
yeah. What do you think? They start against Southampton at St James's Park, the Sports Direct Arena. What do we think?
I'm gonna go 2-0 Southampton. I think they've got the spark back they had when they started last year, so I'm gonna go 2-0 Southampton.
I'll go with that too, because I just genuinely don't care with Newcastle and Southampton. I honestly don't. They play on Sunday at 1:30. It's the same time as Arsenal and West Ham. I mean, Norwich we've covered. They play against Crystal Palace. I said 2-0 Palace for that game. Norwich was covered. Southampton we've just covered, obviously. They got Jordi Clasie in Southampton.
Good young player in the Dutch league. Can he do it in the Premier League? We will see.
That's always the way. That's where they come in. Mane, obviously, they have Mane. Beat Robbie Fowler's record for the quickest hat trick, 2 minutes 56 seconds.
And I was still in shock when I saw that game. I'm not gonna lie.
I was very sad that day, and you know what? I blamed it more on how poor Villa were. You know, I was angrier at Villa for how poor they were than Mane for actually breaking the record. But anyway, that's just a tactic or a statistic I wanted to put in there. Southampton became the first team in the Premier League last year to score 5 goals in the first half of a match and 5 goals in the second half of a match in the same season.
Just spoke volumes about their season, though. They were on fire. Then they did go missing for a little bit, but they were still picking up results, and that was what mattered for them.
So, obviously, we've got Stoke next. Stoke are our opponents on the opening day. They beat us 6-1 the last day of the season. We don't need to talk about it. We know how disgustingly bad it was.
I don't know that date, I'm afraid. I would like to edge that from my brain. But
yeah. What do you think overall of Stoke in general?
They're like us. They've strengthened heavily this summer. They have took Glenn Johnson on board.
They lost Nzonzi and Begovic, though.
Begovic will be a big miss. However, they've got one of the best young English keepers around in Jack Butland, so I don't think it's going to affect them too much.
Just a statistic. They never lost when Nzonzi played.
Again, he just sat. He's just sat in that defensive midfield position and just did everything to stop. So it's not really surprising, but we will see how they cope without him.
There's Sunderland, obviously. We've got Swansea, who play Chelsea. Don't think there's much hope for Swansea, to be honest. But you're a fan of Gary Monk's.
Yeah. Big fan of British managers, so yeah. I mean, he's taught Swansea up and up since Brendan left. So, sorry, it wasn't Brendan. It was Michael Laudrup.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I say, fingers crossed. He's not long signed a new contract. He's strengthened the squad, and he's going to keep that team core as much as he can. So, we'll see where it goes. There's Spurs, Watford, West Brom, and West Ham. We've talked about each of them really, and with regards to the matches, Tottenham we didn't really talk about too much with regards to their match, but I've got about 5 minutes left here to record the rest of the podcast, so it's all about LFC. Right, the big time.
What do we think is going to be the score against Stoke at the Britannia? Take bias out of it as much as you possibly can. I mean, I know it's difficult.
Don't want to talk about it then.
What do you think?
I just hope we just go and fight more than anything this time, more than we did last year where we just sat back and we didn't know what was happening.
I'm going for 3-1 LFC. I do think we'll get a scare. I think Stoke will score.
I'm going to go... I'll probably go 2-1. I think Lallana's going to score this weekend. I've got that edge about Lallana and Benteke. That's my...
I think Lallana's going to be a fantastic player this season. Just very quickly, how do you think we're going to line up opening day and generally with regards to the rest of the season? Bear in mind, Sturridge obviously isn't ready yet.
I think we're going to line up this tomorrow, Sunday. We're going to go Mignolet, Klein, Skirtle, Lovren. I'd like to see Joe Gomez at left back. And then
I think that's what we're going to do.
I'd give him it. He's earned it. I go with 2 in midfield. So basically, I'm going for 4-2-3-1. I go Milner and Henderson.
That's what I do as well.
And then my 3 would be Ibe on the right, Coutinho in the centre, and Lallana on the left.
And then Benteke up front.
And big Benteke up front. And bring Firmino on in the 60th minute. Give him something to have a go at the team with.
I was going to do that exact lineup, the same as yourself, same formation, except switch Ibe and Firmino. I was going to have Firmino on for the full game experience and then bring Ibe on as an impact after 60 minits. We haven't seen enough of Firmino yet to know.
We haven't yet, but you've got to question what's happening behind the scenes. What's his fitness levels? Where's he at? And
I suppose, but I just think Ibe would be better as the impact sub because he was in that role last year. Whereas Firmino might not be too much of an impact if he comes on, picks up a niggle, and can't do anything for us.
Well, we'll see. I think he's going to give a lot of game time this season. So there's going to be a lot of squad rotation in that attacking lineup anyway. But when Sturridge comes back, it's just another. Another big plus. It's
a brilliant headache for Rodgers to have.
I know. I sometimes just sit thinking of what lineup, so I can only imagine what Brendan's going through.
That's it.
But yeah.
I mean, generally in the season, Do we have enough quality to get that fourth place? I would say yes.
I'll have to agree with you. Fingers crossed. We do well. We start off well. Keep it going. Injuries stay away from us. We can have a cracking season.
I honestly think so. I think Lallana will be a big impact player. I think Hendo's going to have a good season. I'd love to see Sacco replace Lovren, but then at the same time, I feel like Lovren is solid enough to get the job done. Certainly against Stoke, anyway.
Yeah.
Big Joe Gomez is going to have a big season. John Flanagan, it's been announced by This Is Anfield, or it's been reported rather, would be the word. Should be back before Christmas, so that will be an interesting thing if he comes to fight against Gomez for his place at left back.
Yeah, but Flanagan will be eased into that team again because, like I say, his injuries have really took a toll on him this year.
Yeah.
So
final thing. Sorry. Final thing then. Your top 5 and your bottom 3 before we sign off, because I've got to go.
Oh dear me. So Chelsea, Arsenal, City, Liverpool, then Man United. So from first to 5 there, and my bottom 3.
It's exactly the same as me for the top 5.
And for me, bottom 3 would be Leicester. There's a lot. That's a hard one. I'd probably go Newcastle. I think Newcastle will be around there, and possibly West Brom.
Well, I've gone for a completely different 3. I've gone 18th Bournemouth, 19th Everton, 20th Norwich.
I like 19th. I think 19th's nice. Yeah. Personally, that's my view anyway.
20th Norwich. I don't think Norwich have enough quality to stay up, nor do I think they have a good enough system to stay up. But that's just me.
Well,
so
we'll see.
We're going to have to sign off. That's us.
Can I say one thing? And I know it's like I know rivalries and stuff here, but put it out the window. I think it's humble if we honour this podcast in the memory of Neville.
Definitely, yeah.
I think that's only correct what we do.
Neville.
Yeah, rest in peace.
You'll never walk alone.
Exactly.
All right, like and subscribe, folks. Give us more subscribers so that we come back next week and don't have our pride hurt. We'll see you then next week. Bye.
Go on up.